morning. It is Monday. Welcome to Ramblings with Joe. It was a good weekend. It was a very good weekend. Visited with family, got a lot of yard work done. A little bit sore today. Ready to go back to work so that I can feel better. Do a little bit less work at work. One of the advantages of being a truck driver is there's a lot of recovery time. You get to drive, which is taxing on the mind, but is actually fairly easy on the body. Trucks today don't have, well, they're still out there. We still have trucks with manual transmissions, but they're the rarity now. I drive a truck that's an automatic. It's a 10-speed. I have driven most of my life manual transmission tractor trailers. The tractors that I drove in the past have been anything from 9 speeds up to 18 speeds. There's a school of trucker who thinks if you aren't driving a manual transmission tractor, well, you're not driving a real truck. I'm not of that school of thought. I appreciate the advancements in technology. I appreciate when you're in a traffic jam that you don't have your left leg pressed to the floor on a clutch. And if you're in the traffic jam for an hour and you're moving forward 5 feet every 30 seconds, you're wearing that clutch leg out, and you can sometimes you can get a serious cramp from doing that. It's a serious workout. And now it's just like driving a car. I mean, as far as the transmission goes, obviously there's a lot more to truck driving than just having to shift gears. I drove a tractor for a while up in Idaho, the potato state, and they at that point they had an old gold truck, and that gold truck, it was an old piece of junk then, but they were getting every mile out of it they could. Small businesses do that kind of thing. I don't hold that against them. That's part of business. And that truck was something else. It had an engine brake in the true sense of the word, which an engine brake, what an engine brake will do is slow the truck down without using the brakes. I think the theory is that it will save money on brake usage, and additionally, safety-wise, it will keep your brakes from burning up. You can really mess up a set of brakes going down a hill if all you're doing is holding the brakes with a heavy load. But this truck, I still have fond memories of the frustration that it caused me some days. It had oh my goodness, it had the engine brake was on the steering column. So you're going down the road and you're driving and you need to use the engine brake. You reach up and you pull it down. Now, before you push the clutch in to go to the next lower gear, you had to push it up, push the clutch in, reach over, put it in the next gear, which if you've ever driven a rig, you understand that, especially in these older ones, this is not just slipping it into gear like it is in a car. You have to match the engine RPMs to the transmission RPMs so that it slides in, or you have to double clutch, which isn't always successful with a worn out clutch. And then as you let your clutch out, you reach back up and you pull the engine brake handle down to engage it again to help slow the truck down to keep you from burning out your brakes. And you repeat this. Now, this particular truck had a second stick on the floor, and that was for high and low. I think this was I think it was just a 10-speed. Anyway, the stick on the, so this is just an added kind of level to driving this truck. So to go from the high range, which it was a 10 speed, you had one, which we call low. We'll call it one for now. You had one, and then two, then three, and then four, and then five. That was the low range. And then you'd switch your other stick and you'd go 6, and then 7, and 8, and then 9, and then 10. And of course, reverse was over here. The problem was when you're using the engine brake, now you're going from the high range to the low range, slowing down for, let's say, a stop sign. You would go from you're in 6. Now you have to get to 5. So you'd go. It's been a minute. You'd go from 6. First thing you do, engine brake off, clutch in with your foot. Out of 6, match the RPMs with the accelerator. Into 5th. Clutch coming out, reach up, engine brake back on. But before you could go into 5th, you would have to go to this other stick and go from the high gear to the low gear. So the whole sequence of events was you're in 6th. To get to 5th, you have to out into neutral. I think that's right. It's been so long. Out into neutral. Then you had to float the other stick into the low range, and then grab that stick and go over into 6th. And then release your clutch and bring your engine brake. It was a to-do. There were some days where I would just completely miss trying to go from 6th down to 5th. And of course, you would miss occasionally. And there were some days I just could not make it work. And the owner of this business was very insistent that we use the engine brakes as much as we could to save money on brake shoes. No problem with that. I understood it, but it was a serious job. It was a serious, oof. Just thinking about that truck, it was. They actually sold it. I only did this for one season. They sold the truck prior to me finishing the season out and put me in a different truck, which was greatly appreciated. As I said earlier, I'm not someone who does not appreciate advancements in technology, especially in the trucking industry. I think that we're kind of at a point in trucking now where they're trying very hard to save every penny they can because the profit margins are so thin. And I'm going to have another drink of coffee. And those profit margins being that thin is leading us to anything that will save money in trucking. They will do that. However, and I'm not saying that this is across the industry or at every company, but you would think that trucks would have cutting edge technology across the board. That's the job. We're truckers. This is what we do for a living. You would think that we have the absolute best technology, and we don't. It's obvious we don't. I don't think there should be a truck out there that doesn't have the ability for, with the Apple situation, it's called CarPlay, Android. I'm not sure if it's Android Play or Android Car or what, but I don't think that there should be anything out there, any tractor in the trucking industry that does not have that particular piece of technology in it. It's just so with a truck, you have your instrument cluster, which is your typical stuff that you're used to in while driving a vehicle. You have your speedometer, your odometer, your there's a plethora of gauges that are there that aren't in cars. I mean, I don't think there's a tachometer in many cars now, unless it's a performance style car. But there's a tachometer. You have some trucks have multiple fuel gauges for the both sides. Some of them just have one, and then there's the DEF gauge, which is a second style of tank on a truck that allows it to regen, excuse me, trucker humor there. And anyway, there's those. Now you have electronic logs. Now the electronic logs is usually a separate computer that's sitting on your dash, and that just keeps track of your hours. And then you have in LTL, what we have is a handheld. This is where you get your dispatch. I'm pretty sure that this is probably in other companies as well now. The dispatch is coming through some kind of device. And then the trucker usually has his own phone, which is, I got the itchies again this morning, which is also a communication device you're all aware of, but it's kind of crucial in trucking. I get calls all the time from my boss. I have a trucker headset now. I've gone through a bunch of cheap ones, and I finally went ahead and paid for an expensive one. But the trucker headset, it's a lifeline back to dispatch. It keeps you apprised of all situations that they want you to know about. If there's an unusual situation at a customer or whatever, then that's what the telephone call will happen. They're trying to dissuade people from texting us truck drivers because they don't want us to text. I get it. I don't want to be texting going down the road. That being said, there is technology that is both voice to text and text to voice, which I utilize if I'm driving and I don't need to talk to the dispatcher, and it's not anything that is essentially an emergency or something that has to have an immediate attention. I will ask my phone to send the message. All voice, never have to take my eyes off the road, never have to look at my phone, never have to do anything except go down the road. The caveat for the phone thing is and they also have voice, text to voice. When a dispatch sends me a message that's not essential, there's no hurry. If there is, they'll call me. Then I have purchased a tablet that sits up on the dash that is CarPlay compatible, and it reads the text to me, and it plays it over the stereo in the truck. So that particular tablet, I think we should be trying to consolidate all of these screens down into one screen. I think that we should be down to the electronic logbook, the phone, and our GPS, which most of us drivers use, the phone as a GPS. These should all kind of be narrowed down to one device at this point. And I understand the idea of having separate devices. That way, if one device goes out, you can use another one. But the most maximum amount of devices we should have is two, and that is the primary device that has GPS, logbooks, and dispatch, the handheld, the computer that we use to do the job. These should all be one device. When I get out of the truck, I should grab that device and I should go see my customer. They sign the device. I throw it back on the dash. When I get back in, everything's good to go. That technology's out there. We should be able to do that. This is not super difficult technology. But instead, we've got all these screens on our dash, and everybody wonders why we're distracted. Oh, as far as that CarPlay, that one device that does those three things should also have CarPlay on it, so that drivers they can throw their phone away, and that yeah, not throw it away, but throw it over on the passenger seat or whatever. And that device should relay the text messages that dispatch sends to us and read it to us over the stereo. I mean, the whole idea about all these things is to consolidate them, is to consolidate them and have the driver's eyes on the road at all times. This is a very, very visual-centric job. And if we're not paying attention, then lives are at stake. I take safety very serious in my job. So that's the air conditioner that just came on, and I'm curious as to the sound. I'm kind of saying that now so that I can be aware of what's going on. Anyway, just my day job. I thought I'd talk about that a little bit today and reminisce about a job I had many, many years ago. In a few years, that'll be 30 years ago that job I had, and I described to you the shifting of that truck. The reason that let's be perfectly honest here, I haven't had anything to do with that job or that family that owned that trucking company in many decades. And today I got to thinking, or rather this weekend, I got to thinking about that. And so I did a Google search on them to see if they're still around, see if they're still in business. And I was sad to see that the owner had passed in 2018. I was not close with the man. I was not. We butted heads a few times, but I respected him. He was providing for his family, and he was the son of a farmer, in the truest sense of the word. It was a family farm, and I did respect the man, and I was sorry to hear that he had passed, and that got me to thinking about, well, the people that you touch in your life and the people that touch you, and how they affect you and how they change your life and shape your life. And you can kind of be distant from those people. And he was a kind man. This is why he was a kind man. But these people that we just, kind of brush up against in life, and then we don't have contact with anymore. It's strange to me. And perhaps it's strange to me because we live in a technological time when we can do that research, that I wonder what this fella's up to, and do the search and find out, how's he doing, how's life going. And sometimes we find out that person's gone. That not only is that part of your life over, but that life that you brushed up against is over. And yeah, it's something to think about. None of us are. There's no permanence in this life. There's none. I'm getting up there in age. The wife is doing her best to catch up. Hopefully she doesn't. I mean, the only way she can catch up is if I kick off and then she reaches the same age as me. But this is something that kind of hit home with me this weekend, and made sure to spend a little extra time with the family. Didn't get to see all the family I'd like to, but we're all temporary entities on this world, and none of us are going to live forever. It's just not going to happen. So, but that was a hard part. That was a hard time in my life. That was a difficult portion of my life 3 decades ago. And I know that it was a difficult time for the wife's life as well. Hey, I'm over here trying to do a podcast and you're screaming at me like you haven't been fed in a month. Come up here. Come on. So, We aren't. We are not here forever. And it's not. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here is the people in your life, the acquaintances in your life. This fellow was more than an acquaintance. He was my boss. He was also a very religious man. He, like I said, we butted heads occasionally, but overall, I know that he had goodness in his heart. The people that you are acquaintances with, the people that you do brush by in life, that you interact with on an occasional basis, these are all people that have families, and they're affecting you whether you know it or not, and you're affecting them whether you know it or not. So it was a difficult time in my life, and he suffered some of the repercussions of my difficult time. You know, an employer, he feels. I mean, I don't mean emotionally, but his business can feel when you're having a hard time. He knows when someone, when you know, the business is aware, the owner is aware when there is trouble for its employees, because it shows in their work and their ethics and their ability to pay attention to the job they're doing. And hell, there were days I wasn't on time during that time of my life because I was so damn depressed. It was hard to get out of bed. And yeah, that's something that employers have to deal with, and employees have to deal with, obviously, if they're the ones depressed. And although we butted heads occasionally, the man never told me to get the hell on. The man never gave me the heave-ho. There he is. Hey, buddy. Oh. So, I wanted to go there this morning, and I wanted to give a call out to Dennis, wherever you may be. I hope you found peace. I hope you experienced love. I hope you're experiencing love. It's a strange thing to move from an area and find out that someone passed 7 years prior, someone that you knew, that you interacted with on the daily, and that they passed 7 years ago. In today's technologically connected world, you can find that out. Whereas in, 20, 25, 30 years ago, that happens and you never find out. You never find that out. Curiosity got me this weekend, and it kind of put me in a mind state that I'm in still today. So, I will wish you all a very happy Monday. I intend to do my best and have a good Monday. I hope that you do the same. I hope you find peace, love, and dream. Until next time, ciao.